Fox Robbins Business Show. Great to have you back. And this is going to be a little different departure for us today. It's going to be very interesting with our guest, Toby Stapleton. The Fox Robbins Business Show is all about developing your very best business ideas. And we also have the co-host of the show is myself, Bill Fox, and the other co-host is the magnetic, the vibrant, the charismatic Coach Robbins.
My God, I understood all those words. Hi, Bill.
And as I said, our guest today is Toby Stapleton. He's going to talk about the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, CIE, which is at UMASS Dartmouth. Dartmouth, Massachusetts, that is. And that's a good place for the university to be in Massachusetts, since it's called UMass.
Absolutely, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, it works.
We want to get started, and could you give us your take on it's now called the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It was formerly the Advanced Technology and Manufacturing Center, so that there was a name change. Does that also mean that there was a concept change?
Well, first, hi, Bill. Hi, Cliff. Thanks
Bill,
for having
hi.
me on the show. So let me give a quick background on the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is, as you mentioned, Bill, we started life as the Advanced Technology Manufacturing Center back in 2000. And the site of the building, which we're located in Fall River, so we're off campus, is on the site of a former mill that burned to the ground in December of 1987. What happened was that the legislative delegation, the mayor's office, and the university got together in the 1990s to decide on what they could put on that site that would actually create economic development for the entire region. And so the idea for a business incubator was born. And from 2000, when we opened our doors, to 2015, last year, when we rebranded, we operated as the ATMC, the Advanced Technology Manufacturing Center. And we had, over those years, we've had roughly 40 companies that we've incubated. And the majority of those companies have stayed right in Massachusetts. But the majority of those companies were manufacturers, companies that were actually building a physical product. And if you look at the infrastructure that's available to those type of companies in southeastern Massachusetts and in the region is really conducive to companies that are building things, that access to low-cost space once they spin out of the building, access to the machine shops and the technical talent that we have in the region, particularly around areas like marine technology, which we've seen our share of marine tech companies come through, both vehicle manufacturers and sensors, but also green energy is something that we're seeing a growth in today. So we rebranded for a number of reasons, but the majority of the reasons were that over those 15 years that we existed, we were doing a lot for the region. We were the region's entrepreneurs, the region's business community, and today we want to now put some focus on developing entrepreneurship back on campus. So developing an entrepreneurial ecosystem to get our students and to get the faculty thinking about creating startups. And this is a model that MIT and other schools are not only known for, but they're lauded for their efforts to develop
Enterprise Forum.
That's right,
Yep.
and we've actually taken a page out of the Enterprise Forum and created what's called the Southern New England Entrepreneurs Forum, SNEF. SNEF
God
meets
bless you.
so SNEF meets 9 times a year. I'm currently serving as the chairperson for SNEF, and it's a volunteer organization, and I've been involved with that way before I was at the university, so back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Toby, there's a mission going on here. Got a long view of this, which is leverage university resources for regional economic development.
I love this mission because you can actually put it on a T-shirt.
Right.
Even I could remember that.
Right. Well, exactly. Yeah. essentially, what we want to do is we want to connect. We have a tremendous asset by being part of UMass Dartmouth. We have the faculty, we have the students. And we want to connect the region's business community with those assets both back on campus and through the building. The CIE has laboratories and professional staff to manage. We have a PhD who has over 27 patents to his name that runs the life sciences and environmental chemistry lab. We have a machinist who runs our prototyping and machine shop. So we have physical assets in the
3D
building.
printing.
We have 3D printing capabilities. We have a machine shop that has done prototypes for all kinds of industry, companies that are both inside the building as well as out. And we have the resources by way of students who are eager to get real world experience and faculty who are looking for opportunities to use their research and their research capabilities and their knowledge really to do real world projects.
Get involved with a little bit of technology transfer into the real business community.
Right. And that is, and we have, as a university, we have plenty of faculty who are interested in doing research for research's sake, and that is, one of the things that a university should be doing. But the other is helping those faculty who are doing research that can be applied or is applicable in the real world to make those connections. And we see that today where we have faculty members who are connecting with our, as we call them, tech venture companies. They're the incubator clients to do things like go after SBIR or STTR funding to do research on a variety of things from anti-fouling coatings to for ships for the Navy to wave energy generation devices that are being deployed today. So and not just in the marine tech industry as well. We have we're working on a project now that's probably going to lead to a patent on an air filtration system. It's a unique technology that essentially scrubs certain gas out of an exhaust stream and turns it into a biofuel. So we want to take that kind of, especially something like that, and connect it with companies who are actually going to be able to deploy it in the real world.
And translating regional economic development, creating jobs.
Right. And if you look at those 40 companies I mentioned that have spun out from the CIE over the last 15 years, the majority of them have stayed right here in Massachusetts. And today, from in a 3 square mile radius of the building, we have 4 companies that have spun out that are almost within arm's length of the building. Those 4 companies combined employ over 160 people, and right here in the region. So
and they're good jobs too.
And they're good jobs. I mean,
yeah.
that the majority of the companies that have spun out, and particularly the manufacturers, they have engineers, they have scientists. And they're employing people in the industrial parks within the region, as well as throughout southeastern Mass and in the Cape.
Absolutely, made in USA.
Right.
How about that, Donald?
One thing I want to ask you: the Fox Robin show, the people who watch this show, could be someone who is simply thinking about getting in business only. Think in the thinking stage. Number 2. Someone who has taken a step and is actually trying, doing things, physically to actually get a company up and running, but all of a sudden needs help, direction, encouragement, advice. Number 3 would be those who have started a business and it's up and running, but not as well as it could be, or also needs help, direction, or whatever, but it's operating. Number 4 would be companies that are up and running and doing fine, don't necessarily need help, but they're thinking about change. That change might be entering a new market, introducing new products, going into import, export, or other, or acquiring a competitor, perhaps, or whatever. So we got these people are watching this show. How does this center help? Is this center only for people who are starting a bit? What if somebody's just thinking about starting a business? Can they go to this center? Or also I also want you to answer is, we're talking about high-tech businesses. There are businesses that start up that are not high-tech or wouldn't be considered high tech.
Right.
Might be middle or low tech, or whatever. So give our audience a feel for what do you do, what are you guys doing, and how are you going to relate to the audience?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And to steal this from Cliff before he says it, anybody thinking about going into business should consult their psychologist first. But
Oh, yeah.
but we meet with companies in all points of that spectrum, from companies that are people who are thinking about starting a business, they have an idea for a business, or they have an idea for a product, all the way to companies that are are beyond the prototype stage and are looking to get out of the third bedroom or the garage that they're operating in. And so one of the things that our center is very good at is Bill, people ask me all the time, what do we look for companies to come into the center? And what's a very good fit for us is, again, manufacturers, but we're not exclusive to manufacturers.
I wanted to ask you that. It's not, I mean, a business startup says, well, I'm not actually making.
Right.
Yeah, well, one of my clients is in your building now, and they just write software.
That's right. In fact, we have two software companies. Both of those companies are seasoned teams. They have, this is their second or third go-around. They've raised funding. They've been in market before. They're developing, essentially both of those companies are essentially developing applications, apps that are, again, sort of not beyond what we typically think of student startup. But we don't want to discourage those kind of startups on campus, but what we also want to do is to provide the knowledge to help somebody who's thinking through a business idea to understand the realities.
Well, do you have to be a student to walk into the center?
No, absolutely not. In fact, for the last 15 years, we have been almost exclusively for the benefit of the region's business community without helping the students on campus to start businesses. Today, if you look at our programming, for instance, we have been doing a number of what are called startup weekends on our campus. Those are really geared towards students, but the outside business community is invited to participate.
Later on the slide, you have one of the things you can explain a little bit more about that startup weekend.
Right.
You had 80 students?
That's
something?
right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. The last one that we had, roughly 80 students. Gave up a long weekend to vet out and think through their business ideas. But for us, we meet with a lot of companies and individuals who are either in the early stages of their business idea or much further along. And what we do is triage those companies. We determine, one, can we help the companies? And the discussion really revolves around, do we have assets either in the building through the laboratories or and it can't just be physical space. It doesn't make sense for somebody to locate in our building if they're just using us for the space. They really need the access to the expertise that we have in the building and on campus, the physical resources, which are the prototyping shop, the machine shop, environmental chem lab, life sciences lab, and the specialized equipment and the researchers, and then
and the brain power that's
and the
already
brain
there.
power, and on the student side, it's the brain power and the eagerness to get involved in these type of projects.
It is exciting to see some of those kids and working on their ideas and putting their business models together. It's really cool.
So since you brought up the last startup weekend, which Cliff was a judge for. The winning team from the one that we did back in November of 2015, that team's product is now being, essentially the technology that drives that product is being patented by the university, and it will be licensed to that student startup. That student startup is now forming. They're incorporating. We're helping them through the process of finding help, attorneys, consultants that can help them form up and get up and running.
Get their intellectual property straightened out and protected.
We will, for that company, we'll allow them some free time, access to the building to get their feet under them. And we're going to help them build out. We built the first prototype of that product using our 3D printer in the machine shop which was essentially that came out of the startup weekend.
I saw that. Yeah.
And so it's really neat to see somebody who on a Friday has come up with an idea for a product, works all day Saturday with a team of fellow students, and by Sunday they not only have a researched idea, that something that they've talked to, that they've vetted in the marketplace, they've talked to potential end users, but they have a physical product that they can show the judges.
Yep. Absolutely, and that team unanimously, and I've been the judge of these things more than a dozen times, maybe 24 times. That team won the first place vote of every single one of the judges. It was that good. It was that well put together.
Right, and I should mention also that team, this may be news to you, that team won, after they won our event, they went on to compete against 360 teams from 60 countries, and they won the global startup battle. The entire team traveled to Amsterdam to collect their prize, and because they were a product company, and because these events tend to have a heavy participation through students, they were competing against app companies, and because they were a product company, they got a lot of interest from potential investors and other people that could help them build their business.
The money will follow a good idea.
Right.
I tell people all the time, if your idea is good enough and it's scalable and this is really, disruptive,
Right.
the money will find you.
That's right.
I just also want to throw in that, there's such a thing as entrepreneurship. I mean, you have an established company starting up a new business. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily, people with no business surrounding it. I've been a party to that, as a startup and a dangerous, risky, startup type of thing, but, as part of a company. So that type of situation could come to see you also.
That's right. In fact, we have that example right now. We have two examples of that where essentially we are home to a company that is based in somewhere else in Massachusetts. They have this company acquired a marine technology, a vehicle and sensor company. That company's marine division is in the CIE, and what they're working on is development of next generation prototypes. They're developing the next product lines for this particular division of the company. And what they have is they're offsite, so the advantage that we have for companies that are either pursuing an entrepreneurship scenario or, as we like to say, in the incubator world, skunk works operation, where they essentially don't want to do it on site for a number of reasons. They want to set up a separate operation. We've got the ability to house that within the CIE to provide the physical infrastructure, so a company wouldn't have to go out and invest in all of the things that we have in the building. But we can allow them to, by connecting them with the physical resources and the expertise, to flush out that idea.
Right.
One of the other examples of that, although not really an entrepreneurship, but it was two executives from a company who decided to start their own company using some technology that they had developed. It was a non-competing technology that their sort of parent company was operating in. The parent company had no interest in what they were working on, so they set up operations through our virtual incubation program, which allows an individual or a team to access the resources, including the conference room. So, which was really important to this group, because when they were meeting with their partners and funding partners, it was important. But this company went on to win the Rhode Island Business Plan competition. They won $35,000 in cash and $65,000 in in-kind services, including legal services, marketing help, and things like that. But the cash really was for a business plan competition. When you hear the prizes, usually it's $100,000, but it's $99,000 in in-kind services.
Right.
This was actually enough money to help them get off the ground. That company today is still a virtual incubator program member, a VIP program, as we call it, and because they're accessing the resources within the building.
You have a PowerPoint that talks about major thrusts growth of established and emerging businesses, research opportunities for faculty, and educational opportunities for students.
Right. And that really should be modified, and my apologies, but the educational opportunities for students has been where we've housed in the ATMC, now CIE, over the last 15 years, over 400 students from both undergraduate, graduate, and from bachelor's to PhD students who have gone on to get jobs with those incubator companies, as well as great jobs out in both with traditional, sort of established companies to startups.
That looks great on their resume.
And it looks great on their resume. But today, we've moved along the continuum where we are now helping companies form up out of student ideas. And if you look at, again, the Startup Weekend events are a good example of that. But since I took over in July of last year, we have made space available for student-led teams for a period of time at no cost. So the students can use essentially a cubicle within the CIE for a couple months. The idea behind that is that those they're enthusiastic, right? When they first think of the idea or first develop the product idea, and the idea is to get them past the enthusiasm, right? So to introduce them to the people that are able to help them come to the conclusion quickly as to whether or not the product or the idea has an opportunity out in the marketplace, and then if it does, help them get to commercialization quicker.
Here's what you guys are doing is you're calling this strategic priorities, but it's providing direct support to tech venture companies, commercialization of CIE-based research, research and partnering with industry and conferences, workshops, and symposia.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, for the first time ever, we've been in existence since early 2000s. So over the last 16 years, we have developed lots of good companies. Again, 40 companies have grown up in the ATMC, or the CIE now. Yeah. And today, one of the things I'm proud to announce is that for the first time ever, we actually have, the university has 3 patents. One provisional patent has been filed, 2 patents are in process. We expect to have a provisional on both of those filed in short order. But for the first time ever, we are now generating patent activity, which is going to lead to licensing of those patents. We already have a company that is going to license one of those patents. We're working on the terms of that deal as we speak. And so that's really showcasing the capabilities, I think, that we have within the building, where out of our own labs, not just on campus, but out of our own labs, we're developing things that have a opportunity in the marketplace.
And that brings revenue to the school.
That's right.
Right.
This slideshow, you talked earlier about 40 incubator graduates. I mean, that's in the life of the program so far.
Right.
And these are some examples.
Sure, and those are some good examples. A company like Mikel, which is an electronic warfare systems company. The Kelly, the woman that started that company in the CIE, started with a team of roughly 2 or 3 people. That company today employs between Fall River and Middletown, Rhode Island, because they want to be close to the Naval Undersea Warfare Center. Has over 150 employees. And a company like Aquabotics was started by an engineer from the Naval Undersea Warfare Center that started a underwater vehicle company. It was essentially ROVs, and they've grown. They spun out of the building. Micromagnetics, building equipment for the semiconductor industry, and then Microant, building antennas for companies like Sirius XM Radio and other satellite radio companies.
Good.
And hosting the conferences, workshops, and symposia.
Right, and I think what would be interesting for your viewers is 2 things. One is the Southern New England Entrepreneurs Forum is a open forum that meets from September to May or June of each year, and it's the second Thursday of each month. and you can learn more at sneef.org, SNEEF.org.
Oh, there's a website for that then, of course.
Yep, and we house the program. As I mentioned, I'm the chair of that currently, but we house that at the CIE. And so one of the events that we do, called the Piranha Pond, is an opportunity for 8 companies to pitch a panel of investors. These are companies beyond the prototype stage, so they're in market, they're making
They have a
sales.
viable
I
product.
don't know if I want to be in that pond. Do I?
Yeah, right.
I get eaten.
That's right, and so
you can be.
so those companies get a 5-minute pitch, 10 minutes of Q&A by the investor panel, and what they, at the end of it, because of SEC regulations and things like that, they don't make a commitment to invest as you see on Shark Tank, but what they do is make a commitment to have a further conversation.
Right. So do get together and do some due diligence.
Right.
So you've got incubator space, physical and virtual, so to speak, laboratories, machine shop, prototyping, professional lab managers, researchers, students, and customized program. Wow, it's a pretty extensive program.
It is,
growing
and
into something.
we're getting better. As I mentioned, I took over last year, and one of the things that I've realized is that the companies that we've been housing and hosting within our incubator over the last 16 years are very technically competent companies. They're companies founded by scientists, engineers, and they're people that have built products before or worked on apps, developed apps. What we need to do is to help those companies get to commercialization quicker. And so we've been partnering with organizations like the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center,
Oh, I know them.
the Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnership, the Clean Energy Center, which has provided us some funding. But we work with those organizations to bring the help that the companies need, targeted. And over the course of a year, we work with literally hundreds of entrepreneurs to help them through their business idea.
Toby, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for being on. This is really pretty exciting stuff as far as I'm concerned.
I love it.
Great-
I
great
love
for
going.
everyone, and
I love
great
going
for
there.
Mass.
Yep.
Outstanding. And thank you guys for watching Fox Robin's Business Show, and we will see you next time.